We have a 3-time TNA Knockout Champion, 5-time WWE Women's Champion, and 1-time WWE Divas Champion. The only one in history, might I add. She is one of the best women wrestlers in the world, and not too bad on the eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mickie James.
Hi.
Mickie, thanks for joining us today. How have you been lately? What have you been up to?
Well, I just got back from Impact Wrestling. We were in Orlando for the tapings, so we just got back home actually earlier today.
All right.
Other than that, just rocking out. I have a show this weekend coming up in Louisiana for My Music, and rocking and rolling, baby.
All right.
All right. Now, you'll be appearing for Northeast Wrestling on April 10th in Danbury, Connecticut. Are you excited to be wrestling on the East Coast?
Yes, of course. I will love wrestling at NEW. I have fun every time I'm there, and so I'm excited to come back.
Yeah, well, we have a lot of fans listening tonight to where the next day you will be appearing at Collector's Realm in Fishkill alongside Road Warrior Animal. What do you have to say for all the fans coming down and making the trip out to come and meet you?
Oh, that's going to be awesome. I think because, the thing is that oftentimes, even at wrestling shows, you get a chance to sometimes meet some of the wrestlers, but it's nice to be able to perhaps have a small conversation, maybe ask questions that you've been thinking about or you were curious about, and plus get your photo taken and just enjoy the whole experience. Plus, with the both of us there, I think it's going to be pretty entertaining.
Sure.
Now you just mentioned TNA, so what is your current situation with TNA?
Well, I came back to aid Magnus with the whole issue with Bram and everything else, and so I think because it was such a personal, the way it affected my family and everything, so it felt, like the right thing to do, although I seem to keep getting in the way. But yeah, no, it's been awesome. It's been great. It's been really great to also go back and see a bunch of my friends and see everybody and just be a part of the family again, in a sense. I know it's a bit different now with Donovan as a part of the mix, but keeps me a bit scatterbrained, But yeah, it's been amazing, and I've really, been enjoying it. And I think with the new home at Destination America, and it's just got a new vibe in the locker room and all across the board. It's exciting because it's new and it's fresh, and things seem to be, not only is the company excited and moving in this new direction, but the network itself is super excited. And I feel like they're excited to have me a part of it as well, which is refreshing. It makes you feel good, right? So
yeah. Definitely. Now, Mickie, women's wrestling seems to be the hot topic as of late. Even right now in the WWE, they're even creating, a campaign, hashtag Give Divas a Chance. Why do you think there's a lack of interest in mainstream wrestling with women these days?
I don't know that there is a lack of interest in mainstream wrestling and women these days. Or else I don't know that this whole hashtag thing would have gotten over as well as it has. Mm-hmm. I think across the board, I think it's just hard, when you had stars, at the time, you think about, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and at that time, Lita and Trish were household names, and they were just massive. And it's like, I think the business itself has changed in the whole model where it's not as fiery and as hot and as edgy as it once was. And so it's been almost like, I don't want to say watered down a bit to where it's not as rough and tough, which hopefully we're starting to bring it back to some of the wrestling. I feel like, as a whole, we became more focused on storylines, and in turn we allowed, or not just storylines, but and in turn we allowed some of the wrestling, especially I feel for the women, to the bar to maybe drop a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it wasn't on the forefront. It wasn't at the priority. It wasn't like you didn't have to be the greatest wrestler in the world, but as long as you had a strong character or something like that, or the storyline was involved.
Sure.
So I feel like in turn, because the fans want it, and at the end of the day, it all comes back to wrestling. At the end of the day, this is wrestling, right?
Yep.
And that's what makes wrestling so magical, is all of it. It's the in-ring, getting it done in the ring, as well as the character development, as well as the storylines. It's all a magical part of what makes this so wonderful. So hopefully, like, I feel like that's what's coming back, and which is amazing, because that's why I fell in love with wrestling, right? So
definitely.
Now, you spent some time last year at the WWE Performance Center. This was a huge deal for everybody that was involved in wrestling at the time. What did you think about the facility? And you got to see kind of some of the future women's wrestlers that may be out there. Are you happy with the current crop of talent?
Absolutely. Well, there's always people that are going to stand out to you. And for me, when I was there was like a handful of girls that really stood out for me. And I didn't get to work, but I only went to the one NXT show where I got to see a lot of the guys, as far as in the moment, because I was mostly working with Sarah and working with all the girls. So, but yeah, I mean, I thought at the time, unfortunately, I didn't get to see Charlotte wrestle because she was injured, but she's been doing amazing, right? So, at the time, I was like, definitely Paige stood out to me, and Emma, Bailey, and Sasha Banks. That little girl, Alexa Bliss, she was really, really cute. And at the time, I felt like she was still really green, but she's a natural athlete, right? And her personality is what really won me as far as her in-ring personality. Who else? That Becky Lynch girl, the Irish. Is she Irish or Scottish?
Yes, yeah. She's Irish.
Yes. I like her too. So it's different because there was a lot of girls there that had probably not been wrestling that long. Obviously, like they had been hired and they were still very in the beginning stages of that. So it's hard for me to see, like, unless there's like something that just specifically stands out to me until they're. I mean, God, it took me years to be able to do. They're so fortunate, right? Because you have all these tools at your fingertips to make you a star and to learn every day, where things that it took me years, to grasp and to be able to capitalize on that stuff and pulling people aside and asking them to watch my matches and stuff like that. And you have so many people there that can aid you along the way and just give you advice. It's just amazing. It's like that whole facility is incredible, right? It's like a Olympic facility for wrestling, if that makes sense. It's insane.
Yeah. Now, while you were there, did you kind of get an itch to possibly train wrestlers in the future?
It was, a bit, because I guess I hadn't really thought of myself as sounds silly, but worthy enough to, really train on that type of level, because you just don't know. You don't know. I mean, you can have someone who could be one of the best wrestlers in the world, but it's hard to translate that when you're trying to teach someone else what you know, right? So I didn't know how I was going to do, but it was really cool, because when you can share what you know and the knowledge that you know and stuff that you've learned through mistakes and everything else, it kind of maybe will shorten their path a little bit, so they don't hopefully make some of the same mistakes that you did along the way. But at the same time, a lot of those things, everybody has a different eye and looks for different things or sees different things, so I really enjoyed it. I thought it was cool. And I think that the women, the ladies, they were really receptive to me as well coming in. So, which was rewarding in a sense. It's that whole, we get a certain rush off of everything that we do in the ring, but to be able to see someone, I think, maybe later or whatever, however it transpires, right, if I was to train in the future. But I think there is a certain type of magic that happens when you help someone develop themselves and grow. And then if they go on to be a star, it's a bit, you feel like you're a part of that. You know what I mean? Because you help them along the way. I think it would be cool for me. I think it would definitely be a different outlet for me, when I'm ready to hang them up and all.
Yeah. Now, Mickie, you had an illustrious career. What are your thoughts on women now looking up to you the same way that you looked up to such women as Sensational Sherry? How does it feel now to be the role model of a lot of these young women wrestlers?
It's a bit, it's amazing. It really is amazing. It's a bit strange for me too, because I feel like because I'm still in the business too, and I don't. I feel like I'm still young in a sense, you know, like I know I'm not, you know, 20 years old like some of these girls coming up, but at the same time, I still feel like I have still so much to do, and I'm still learning. So it's pretty awesome to think that people like actually want to hear what I have to say, or like, you know, if I have some type of knowledge to drop on them, if they, you know.
Yeah.
So, no, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, and it's humbling in a sense, you know, because I guess I never really thought of myself as like, you know, or what in that vein.
Sure.
And so the more that you think about it, and like as I grow, and even like when I'm working independence and stuff, and certain people will pull me aside or whatever, it's cool. It's just cool. It's like rewarding, and it just makes you feel pretty amazing that someone actually cares or thinks that and values your opinion in that respect.
Now, you're like, this kind of goes along with the same thing. You're considered a veteran now in the women's locker room and in wrestling in general. Do you approach? Yes, a grizzled young vet. Do you approach your wrestling any differently now that you have that status?
In what aspect? Like,
do you still feel like that you go out and give it even like the same gusto, I guess, as you did whenever you first started? Or do you think that because you feel like you've been there for a while, I know that some people kind of slack off. I'm not saying that that's what you've done, but I'm just wondering.
No, I do get what you're saying. I tell you what, the day that I start to slack off and don't give it 110%, and you know, is the day that I should not be walking out there anymore. You know, so for me, I think that I hope in the fan size that I don't give any less of myself to them every time I go out there. You know, I try to give everything I have every day that I go out there. I think that in a sense I may plan my matches a bit differently. I may, you know, structure them. I don't do a lot of the, you know, make some of the same mistakes that I did as a rookie, you know. So I definitely work a lot smarter than I once did. Go out there, and I've never done a triple Indy moonsault, whatever that is. You know what I mean? But it's just like, you know, it's just, I try to tell stories with, you know, within the ring of my character and the story, and at the end of the day, like really pull on people's emotions, because that's what I think captured me in wrestling, and I think that's the whole point of it. So it's never really even been about the moves. It's been more about the story. So been my goal.
All right. Now, like I said in the intro, you were a multi-time women's champion in every promotion. What are some of the things out there maybe that you still want to accomplish in the world of wrestling? Maybe is there somebody that you just haven't, you know, locked it up with that you want to, or is there anything still in the back of your mind that you still need to do?
That's a tough one, because, you know, I never want to sound ungrateful for all the things that I have done and that I've been fortunate enough to achieve. But I think, as in everything, you're never completely satisfied. You completely, like, every time you achieve a goal, you just raise the bar and make a new one. And, you know, yes, I've won every title that there is to achieve, you know, but as far as, you know, things that I still want to do or could do, like, absolutely, like, you know, everybody wants, I always feel like everyone in this business wants, like, that one more run, you know what I mean? Like, that one more marquee match, that one more thing that's going to lock their name in the history books. And I think that's a goal of, hopefully it's the goal of everyone. If it's not, then it's probably, this isn't for you, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But,
definitely.
Now, this year we learned that Medusa will be joining the WWE Hall of Fame. When do you think that we will see you take your rightful place alongside greats like Trish and Lita?
Oh, come on.
I would have put you in yesterday if I had the option.
Oh, you would? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't, you know, that's one of those things. I feel like you just never know, do you? as I would be absolutely honored to go into the Hall of Fame, of course. Like that's a goal. I think that everyone is like, if that happens, you're just so humbled and so, blown away by that, opportunity and just the admiration of not just from the fans, but at that point from the business itself and from, Vince and everyone else who actually believed that you were a part of what made that era, that moment so special, But I was so happy to hear that Medusa was going in, and I know that this was, something that had been talked about and touched on before. I think someone had teased it, or I don't know how it even came out. There was a possibility that I might, and I addressed that the same way I'll say now. It's so amazing, and I would absolutely be honored. But I also know that there's so many women that deserve to be in there, So whenever that time comes, if that time comes for me, I would be on cloud nine, But obviously, I still, am thankful that there's so many women that have paved the way for me and that deserve to be in there as well. So I hope to see them, probably go as well before me. I don't know. You just never know, right?
Yep. All right. Now, you're not only kicking butt in the ring, but also on the music scene. What's been going on with your music career lately? Anything you can tell the fans about?
Well, I have a show on the 21st in Monroe, Louisiana, and we have some more shows getting lined up. It was weird because, obviously when I found out I was pregnant, I just kind of took a hiatus from everything, really. And so I just kind of stayed at home and enjoyed being pregnant and doing all that. So still worked on writing some songs and doing stuff like that, but we've just started to pick back up the schedule and started to nail some dates down. So hopefully we're going to get to rolling, and my plan is to go back in the studio and record. I have a bunch of songs that I've written with my guitarist and other friends. And so if I can maybe do an EP of sorts of all originals, or I thought about doing some covers, if I could think some cool covers, a cool cover song to do or whatever. But I don't know. I don't have any set hardcore plan. I just, I want to get out and play and get my music in front of people. And it's a different high, right, that you get on stage as you do in the ring. So it's pretty cool. We'll see what happens.
Now, who are some of your musical influences?
Oh, God. I mean, I grew up with, most of it, I played violin for 5 years when I was in school, middle through high school. I think I stopped playing in my sophomore year, right? Which I still have my violin. I'm not very good at it anymore. I haven't played in years, right? Until Mary had a little lamb, maybe. But I've been influenced by everything. It's I don't listen to just one vein of music. I listen to rap and country and rock, and I think that Southern rock and country were definitely the majority of what I listened to. But I was a huge Gwen Stefani fan, and I was massive. I still am a massive Pink fan. I love everything she does. Everything she does is amazing.
If I'm not mistaken,
I love everything about her.
If I'm not mistaken, you came out to Just a Girl in OVW.
I did.
I'm from the Midwest originally, so I actually saw some of your stuff in OVW, so I do remember that.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That was it was fun, that song. It's funny because it was hot, probably a couple, maybe 2 years or whatever before I was there, and I used to love that song and sing all the time. And when we talked about it, I think Danny and Jimmy were like, "Oh, we want you to come out for this," and I'm like, "Oh, I love that song," But and for my character at that time, I was just that happy white meat baby face, happy to be here, bubbly, and Pippi Longstocking meets Punky Brewster meets I don't know. But so it worked for my character at the time, and it kind of. I think that whole thing is what molded into what Mickie James became on WWE TV, because it was kind of that same whole vein in a sense, just with a,
Sure.
mental twist.
All right, now, you seem to be pretty comfortable on stage performing. Which is more nerve-wracking, music or wrestling?
They're two different animals, right? I feel more vulnerable on stage singing. I feel, definitely more vulnerable. And I think because I'm not portraying a character. I'm not being this larger than life, untouchable character on stage. I'm being Mickie James,
Yep.
who I am. Whereas in the ring on that stage, it is a element of me, but it's this, larger than life character who, a lot of these things would never happen in real life, right? Or if they did, it would be pretty crazy. So, I'm definitely much more comfortable in the ring, and it's, obviously because I've been doing it and studying it and really honing my craft and skill for so long that I still get nervous every time I don't feel like as much as it's more like anxious than it is nerves, like you get excited and you get pumped up and fired up or whatever. But I'm not like worried that I'm going to go out there and like, oh no, I'm going to go out there and blow it as much as I am when I go on stage,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now in wrestling, whenever you're talking about like a big moment, we call it the WrestleMania moment. When like you're now doing stuff musically, so what would the equivalent of a WrestleMania moment be in music for you?
Madison Square Garden, I think that is even in wrestling at Madison Square Garden is this huge moment, right? But yeah, I've been very fortunate. I've gotten to open up for, Gretchen Wilson and Montgomery Gentry, and I've just done tons of like really cool stage. I've done events with like Little Big Town and Rascal Flatts and all this stuff. So I've been very fortunate to be able to share the stage with them, or even open for them, which is like the opening match.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just grateful for opportunities, like I've been very blessed with some pretty amazing moments in my life, in all aspects. So, but yeah, I guess at the end of the day, if there was one thing that when a performer or an artist can sell out Madison Square Garden, then I think that's like pretty epic.
Sure. Now, congrats on being a new mom. I'm sorry, you should have said this at the top. But,
you should have.
I know. But now, is it pretty much inevitable that he will be a pro wrestler one day, a second-generation pro wrestler, or
second generation on both sides wrestler? Isn't that crazy? What's crazy is like I want him to be whatever he wants to be, but obviously, if he wants to get into wrestling, then I would obviously support him 1,000%. I'm hoping he loves wrestling right now. He does. It's crazy. Like, what we obviously watch because it's our craft. We watch every show that we possibly can, as far as wrestling on the show, on TV. So when he watches it, he's just completely captivated by the colors and I think it's like, the masks and the costumes, and he really loves. I was telling a friend, I was like, he really loves Lucha Underground. I think it's because they're all in masks. Like a lot of them are in masks, and they're all these like wacky, crazy lucha characters where he's just like, whoa.
Now, I'm just going to throw it out there, but maybe his name one day could be Magnus James, maybe? I don't know, a little twist of mom and dad's name?
His name would be Magnus James? I hope not. I don't think that...
Well, I had to throw it out there anyway, but...
I don't know. I just don't see that on a T-shirt. Like, I don't feel like that's going to be money.
All right, we'll have to work on it, but at least we get the ball rolling on it, right?
Right, yeah.
Lightning round.
If you could share the stage with any musical act, who would it be?
Madonna.
Now, who would you put on your Mount Rushmore of women's wrestling?
Oh my God, did you guys see the one that Trish did for her thing? I just saw it on Twitter the other day. It was me, Stephanie, Lita, and Victoria. I guess, definitely, that's a tough one. Trish, Lita, Victoria. I'm trying to think of who I've had my most, and Beth.
Okay. Now, looking back on your career, who was your favorite person to wrestle thus far?
Oh, that's hard. I'll tell you who I've had probably my favorite match of all time with.
That's perfect.
Was against Beth Phoenix in Alaska, and it was untelevised. It was a house show match. But it was probably one of my favorite matches that I've ever had.
Well, in your opinion, who is the hottest diva or knockout around today?
Hottest?
Mm-hmm.
Hottest. Probably Brooke Adams.
Okay. We talked about the Hall of Fame earlier. When that day comes and they ask you, who would you want to induct you into the Hall of Fame?
Oh my God.
We're putting you on the spot. So.
That is, you totally just put me on the spot. I don't know.
You can say one of us.
I've had so many matches. My mom.
Hey, that's good.
This lady. Get her out of here.
All right. Sum up your wrestling career so far in one word.
Magical.
I know that you have a website, MickieJames.com. Where else?
Fun.
No, not at all. Where else can fans keep up with you today?
Well, through my website, you can find my Twitter account, which is like at Mickie James, my Facebook account, which is Mickie L. James. But you can find all that through my website, which is really cool. And I have like a Reverb Nation page, and which that's more focused around the music, obviously. And yeah, I mean, you can find it all at MickieJames.com. How's that plug? You like that?
Perfect.
That was a good one.
Mickie, we thank you so much for joining us today, and we're going to see you soon in Danbury, Connecticut, and at Collector's Realm, so thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait, and I can't wait to see all the fans out there, so we'll see you soon.